Evelyn, after pressing my BCBA for hours, I found out that we have 10 more hours not being used. Can we use it for support with dance, Cub Scouts, etc.? What out of center can we use it for?
To figure out what kind of funding you have. You know, is it 10 hours of school funded, or is it 10 hours of health insurance, or is it 10 hours of, DDS funding, whatever it may be. So there are those guidelines. But for them, yes, because all of those settings are places to be social and places to generalize skills. So like Cub Scouts is a great place because Cub Scouts is a smaller group of boys usually, and it's usually around the same age. And every week is a different activity. And sometimes that is overwhelming for our kids because they like structure, and going in every week or every month and having just a different activity sometimes is very difficult. But we've had lots of our staff go with the kids into these community activities and work on the social interaction, work on following instructions, work on just imitation of skills of the people that they're with. There is a lot you can do in any of these settings. What you don't want to do is put them in a setting that's going to be totally overwhelmed, or where your therapist can't do anything because it disrupts, what's going on. But there's a ton of things that you can definitely do in every one of those activities. I've done dance, I've done music lessons, I've done baseball and soccer, karate, and everything else. The therapist who goes along is really just facilitating communication and facilitating skills that that they've learned in the one-to-one setting, and then just need to generalize to these other settings. And I think it's a great way to use those 10 hours.
Yeah, you know me, I'm the biggest fan of this, about giving your program legs and taking it out into the community. I realize it's harder with COVID than it's ever been before, but we took therapists everywhere with us. And I know I love me some BCBAs, right? I think I am BCBAs in general, their biggest fan. But I also recognize that as a group of people, they don't all think alike, and some of them are very in the box thinkers, and they're very rule following, which is great in some respects. But if they get in the box and they're following the rules in the box, sometimes we just have to remind them that there's more than one way to do something. And I have heard BCBAs say, well, we can't go out into the community unless you have specific programs that are written for being in the community. And while there is a grain of truth to that, if I'm teaching you how to count, I can teach you how to count in the living room, and I can teach you how to count in the front yard, and I can teach you how to count in the car, and I can teach you how to count at a birthday party. You know what I mean? Like I challenge all BCBAs out there to look at the programs and go, could I only teach this in the setting in which we've scheduled the appointment? And I think you'll find that A, you can teach it almost anywhere, and that B, if you're following your rules for trying to have it happen in different settings for generalization, then you probably should. Am I wrong, Evelyn?
No, as a BT, my favorite place to generalize counting was the grocery store.
Right, right.
Any shopping place, you can count everything. You can count peaches and oranges and cans of things and bottles and clothing items, and any kind of business in terms of store, buying. You can count 1,000 things. You can practice colors. You can practice shapes, sizes. And sizes is great because sizes change depend on what is present.
Mm-hmm.
In one setting may not be big in another setting. And there's so much generalization and flexibility. And if you have I've heard BCBA say that, or the health insurance companies say that they cannot they can't go to certain locations. In health insurance law, they cannot confine you to certain settings, because if you have diabetes, you should be able to have your insulin in any setting, not just setting. And that's really where all the mental health parity comes from, is if access, especially for autism, where overgeneralization or lack of generalization is an actual symptom of autism. So yeah, really matters.
We really need to get Julie Cornack back on here to give her little war dance talk about mental health parity, because there literally are federal laws that supersede state laws, you guys, that say that some of this mumbo jumbo that they say, oh, sorry, your child can't have therapy past the age of 8 because our mandate doesn't cover it, or things like, oh, no, we can't do it here. Just like Evelyn was saying, no, if you can give your insulin there, then you can do therapy there. So we'll have to invite Julie Cornack to come, because she is, the person that has the
A
expertise.
wealth of knowledge.
Oh, just like crazy good knowledge.
Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.